Hey, what's up, everybody? Disciple3D here with you today, doing a little support tutorial, which is just kind of an add-on to one that I did earlier today or yesterday, I think, on installing content, formatted content into your Daz Studio. And our guest for today's call is the Reginator. How's it going, Reginator?
I'm doing quite well, Brent. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. So, without further ado, we're going to pop over into my screen here and talk about installing new content. Um, so let's see here. I have a file that we're going to install from Crashworks, and it looks like it to be a regularly formatted file, which is proper. I was mentioning earlier that we were talking about conversions of 6s1 poser figures, which in some cases are very, very old, even predating Daz Studio. So when you look at those products in an actual zip file, they look a little different. You only see runtime. You don't see people. You don't see data. You see runtime and documentation lots of times, and so this affects how you install it, especially if you're installing in Poser or Daz Studio versus Poser. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, Reg, with you,
Okay, great.
and you let me know when you can see it.
I see it.
Okay, so what we would do is go ahead and open this file up, the same way that you see me right here with it in a zip file. Now, because this is just a temporary thing for the purposes of demonstration, I'm just going to create a folder in in my area that I put my new products or whatever. And I'm just going to call it Crashworks. In your case, you would be, I think, in your your downloads folder next to your 6s1 folder, you would create a folder called Crashworks, right?
Yes, I see it right here.
Okay, so have you created that folder yet? The Crashworks.
Uh, well, when I open it, I see users, Reginald, downloads, Crashworks, plus Sophia.
Okay, well that sounds correct. That sounds like you've already installed it, but just for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to be doing it just so that we can be sure that we're on the same page. So you see,
Okay, great.
you see my screen, right? I've created this folder, okay, and I'm doing it to a clean library because this is going to make it very evident where everything goes, which if you happen to install it into a library that's full of stuff, which 99% of the time when you can't find a product is the issue because they've been tested, they're set up properly. You just installed it somewhere that's very busy sometimes. But anyway, so I'm going to hit extract. I'm going to paste in that folder. Um, I'm going to install. And at a top level, looking at this zip file, I mean, I know that I'm going to go into that library and I'm going to go into Genesis 8 female. I'm going to go into characters. I'm going to see the character here at the top level. I'm going to navigate into Crashworks Sophia. And so that tells me essentially where everything is, right? So for purposes of demonstration, I'm just going to verify that all that stuff is there by opening up my Daz Studio real quick. Real quick. Anytime I say real quick, that means it won't be real quick. So do you have your Daz Studio open?
Yes, I do.
So while I'm getting this set up, go ahead and navigate to. Oh, did you add the library? That would be the first. Okay, you know what? Watch my screen because if you haven't added the library and you put it in its own folder, you're not going to see it, right? So here we go to Edit, Preferences, um, Content Directory Manager, Daz Studio Formats, Add, and I'm going to go back to this place where I put the folder for this test. Right there it is, Crashworks. Now, if you paste it in like this, and if I hit select, sometimes it's a little funky. I want to make sure that I hit enter so that I know I'm in that folder, and then I hit select folder, and just kind of accept through all this. It's taking a hot second here. Um, by the way, that's the folder that I created for the earlier little demonstration. So Crashworks. So apparently you lost connection.
That is exactly what happened, my friend.
Okay, rolling right. I'm just going to keep rolling right along, but
Okay.
I'll
Yeah.
talk you through. So did you go through the steps of adding the library, the Crashworks folder, as a library? Did you do that?
Let's see. Where do you actually add that
All
library?
right, watch me do it. I'm going to undo what I just did, which is what I did while you were gone. So I'm adding. So I unzipped it into a Crashworks folder, and now I'm going to add that folder as a library. So I'm going to go Edit. I'm going to hit Preferences. I'm going to go to Content. I'm going to go to Content Directory Manager. I'm going to click on Daz Studio Format. Why do I know it's Daz Studio? Because it has data and people as opposed to just a runtime. So I've highlighted Daz Studio. I'm going to hit Add, and I'm going to go to Crashworks folder, select that. I'm going to hit Select Folder. I'm going to hit Accept, accept again once it lets me. And then if I go back to Daz Studio and expand my Daz Studio Formats folder, you can see I have a bunch for developmental stuff. Crashworks will be the last one at the bottom. So if I expand that folder, I see there's a documentation folder, a people folder, Genesis 8 female, characters, Crashworks. And it looks like that's the character, Sophia, right? So double click on that, that'll load the character. And Bob is your uncle, I believe.
Yes, he is.
So what part of this are you having problems with?
Okay, let's load the character into my download folder. And
And
then I would say,
actually, so you were wanting to put this. Did you want to create a Crashworks library, or were you trying to put
yeah,
it? Okay, well,
yes. Hmm.
so if if you expanded that zip file into a Crashworks folder, it sounds like what you need to do is add the Crashworks folder, just like what I just did here, right? So yeah, 100%, that's there. That absolutely worked just the way I expected it to. So I'm going to delete this, remove this base directory with me. So I want you to do these steps with me that I'm doing because I've shown you this a couple times now. So if you walk through, maybe you can kind of reinforce. You definitely have unzipped this zip file into a Crashworks folder in my downloads. Is that correct?
Yes, I do have it unzipped.
Okay, so follow these. You see my screen, right?
Yeah, it's kind of small. I'm trying to expand it. 'Cause I see the character perfectly.
Well, that's actually deleted now. So I'm
Yeah,
just
okay.
I don't want it to confuse Daz Studio. But all right, so watch these steps one more time and do them with me. Edit. I'm going down to the bottom, hitting preferences, and just to illustrate this to you, I'm going to close that again and just press F2. F2 brings that up, so you don't have to go edit preferences. You can just press F2, which brings up your preferences tab. Inside of that, I click on Content. Then I click on Content Directory Manager. Then I highlight the format of the zip that I'm trying to install. In this case, I highlight Daz Studio Format. I click on Add, click on Crashworks, select Folder. I hit Accept. Once that adds it to the library, I hit Accept again. I expand, and there's Crashworks with all the content that I expected.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay, how far along are you? I want to get you,
Uh,
I want to get you through that.
okay. Let me go up to, let's see, right now I'm at the Daz Studio formats.
All right, go ahead and share your screen with me.
Okay. Do you see it?
Yes, I do.
All right. Okay. I like dolls so much.
Oh, it's a nice looking character, and it converts fairly easily. Um,
Who helped me with that character? I think it was Brett Bowers.
I don't know. I don't know anybody named Brent Bowers. Must be that guy, Disciple3D. Um,
Yeah, maybe. Or Gray Bro. It could be Gray Bro.
hey, man, I'm like Apollo Creed. The king is king, the master of disaster, the Ayatollah of rock and roller. So
There
epic.
you
I got
go.
a lot of nicknames. No, let's add the Crashworks library then to our Daz Studio.
Okay.
First off, do me a favor. Scroll down there where you got poser formats and just minimize that because we
Okay.
don't need to look at all that. That's just confusing you, I think. Okay, now minimize 6s1. Go up. There you go. Yeah, minimize that for us. All
Okay.
right, now let's just do this the most efficient way. Press F2.
Okay.
Just F2 at the top of your keyboard. By the way, would you minimize your little Skype box up there so we don't kind of hose up the video for folks watching and
Right
yourself
here.
looking at it later? All right, perfect. Now go over to the Content tab.
Content.
Content. In your preferences. There you go. Content at the top.
Got it.
Now down to Content Directory Manager.
Got it.
Down to Daz Studio Formats. Highlight it. Hit Add. And I think you can go to Downloads. Your Downloads folder on the left. Just go ahead and click on it. That way there's no confusion. Double click. Okay, now you told me that you unzipped it to a Crashworks folder in this area, but I do not see such a thing. So let's do this. Since you're there, with downloads selected, go to the top and hit New Folder. You see how at the top of the select to the right, you click New Folder, type in Crashworks,
See, how do I actually spell it?
K,
Capital K?
yes,
K
R-A,
R.
R-A-S-H, and I think it's W-E-R-K-S. You can change this later if you need to.
W E K S. Okay.
So just double click on that to make sure that it gets the name, like the actual folder, not the name. There you go. Double click on Crashworks again. Okay, cool. Now hit select folder.
Select folder.
Yeah, at the bottom right hand side. There you go.
Okay.
And then hit OK, accept. Hit accept. There you go. And just give it a second to spin. And then we're going to hit accept again. Not apply. Hit accept, please. To the right. Bottom where you were at.
Got
There
it.
you go. Accept. Now you need to go back to your Crashworks zip and install it because you actually did not put it in the location you told me. So,
Okay.
um, so let's pull that up. Is that the correct zip file?
No, I don't believe so. Let me find it real quick.
Okay, yeah. So double click on the Sophia down. It's down near the bottom. I can see it from here.
All right.
Either one of those. Yeah. Double click on it. Not to rename it. Like you're gonna right click and select.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. You got it. Now hit extract. Okay, so now the little three dots to the right of that, you actually unzipped it to downloads. That's not what you wanted to do. Click on those, the dots, there you go. Now expand downloads.
Expand downloads.
Yeah, double click on downloads or hit the triangle, the chevron, sorry. Now click on the folder Crashworks.
Okay.
There you go, and hit OK. And OK again. Okay, now X out of this, hit the X on the extractor. There you go.
Right here.
Yes. Go back to Daz Studio.
Okay, just minimize this.
You can. And
Okay,
then
back in Daz.
Daz Studio Formats. Kind of like refresh that if you would.
Just right click and refresh.
Yes. Now expand it again. And you're going to see that's poser formats. You want Daz Studio Formats. And you see Crashworks down there, right? So click on Crashworks, expand Crashworks. You're going to see a Genesis people folder. No, you don't need to go into documentation. Just go to people.
People. So
You can ignore that. That's just documentation. Go to people.
oh, okay. People.
Genesis 8 female.
Okay.
Characters. There you go. Now,
Wow.
if you want to preload the character, you use that top level icon. If you're going to load Genesis 8 yourself and apply her, then you'd use the other ones. So just load
Okay.
go ahead and load with the avatar there at the top.
Right here.
Yes, sir. Double click. Got some high traffic.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so what's happened here? Is your Daz Studio crapped out on us or what?
No, it's just loading slow.
Oh, there you go. So Bob is your
Yep,
uncle.
she's there.
Bob is indeed your uncle. Uncle Bobby has done it again.
She is there.
So yep, there you go. You can delete the S1M goal if you want to or whatever, but you got the busty digital babe from Crashworks installed now, and everything works just like it should. And the great thing is, you can always look back at the Disciple3D channel and walk yourself through this again if you have similar problems. Just so I've got a nice thumbnail here, could you delete the ghoul so I can see the characters there?
Okay.
Uh, you can actually go into your scene tab a lot easier.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
click on to your scene tab at the top, the very top. Well, that works too. And you can hit delete on your keyboard. You don't have to go through all that walkie, but whatever.
Okay.
And then you can get her inside, and there you go, man. I'm
Awesome.
hope you got what you needed from that.
I really did. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure.